Now, I'm just going to play one more clip. You've touched on an issue which I've been involved in as a political campaigner as well. I was inspired by work that two very courageous Liberal MPs did a number of years ago, Nick Goiran in Western Australia and Dr Mark Robinson in Queensland. They, through the parliamentary processes in their state, exposed the issue of babies being born alive after botched or incomplete abortions and then just left to die. You take up this issue in one of your recent posts. Let's take a look.
We were all rightly shocked when we heard about this little baby left a few hours after birth in a neighbour's yard, just fending for herself. And then I had three thoughts, though, when I heard about it. And the first was just what that poor mother must have been going through to have done that. Like, she wouldn't have been in a right state to do that, and, you know, just concern for her and how she must have been feeling. The second thought I had was that we really need baby boxes in Australia. This is something Senator Helen Polley has been fighting for from Tassie. In America, they have the safe haven law, so a mother who's really struggling and just doesn't know what to do can leave her baby in a baby box and know that that baby will be cared for and will be safe, and there's no criminal penalties for the mother. And the third thought I had, though, was just that this is, as shocking as it is, something that happens in Australia at least once a week in Queensland and Victoria on average, that a baby is born alive and just abandoned, left to die with no rights to comfort, care or life-saving treatment if they can live. And this is because after failed abortions, we don't have legal rights for these babies. So this is something that I'm going down to Canberra next Thursday to speak about with the senators, and it's something that we all need to keep front of mind, that as shocking as this situation is in Australia, we do abandon babies and we leave them to die. And it's not just in a neighbour's backyard, it's actually in a hospital where they're meant to be safe.
Yeah, that's really well said, Joanna, and this is something, you know, those of us in the pro-life movement have been aware of for a long time, but we can't get politicians to take notice of it, although it's great to see my friend George Christensen, when he was in the Parliament, put forward a bill that's been taken on by Senator Matt Canavan and Senator Ralph Babet and I think Senator Jared Reddick. There's a group of senators that are now championing this. There's also a Senate inquiry, as you mentioned in the video, going on, and that, I believe, has been instigated by Labor and the Greens with the agenda of trying to make abortion even more freely available. It's already open slather, sad to say. You're heading to that Senate inquiry this coming Thursday. What are you going to tell the senators?
I think the first point I'm going to make is that this is true, because I think what I hear the other side say is that babies aren't born alive and left to die, and I've read their submissions now and I can see that that is what they're going to say. And the data, which I spent a lot of time looking at, Lyle, shows that in Victoria and Queensland since 2010 there have been 724 babies who have been born alive and left to die. So I'll be making the point that this is a reality in Australia, that we don't have birth equality, that we treat one group of newborns very differently to the rest of their class just because they're unwanted. And then the second point I'll make is to show what we know about this group. So little Jessica Jane was a baby that was, her mother wanted an abortion because she felt she couldn't cope with having that baby. And so when Jessica was aborted, she was delivered, because in late-term abortion, they don't break the baby up limb by limb and crush the baby's skull. They actually get the mother to deliver the baby. But normally it's a dead baby that the mother delivers, which I think must be incredibly traumatic for those women. But in some cases when the baby is born alive, and that's what happened with Jessica Jane, and the nurse called the doctor who ordered the abortion and said, "What do I do?" And the doctor just said, "So," and hung up the phone. And the coroner's report details this. And little Jessica Jane lay on a metal plate for 80 minutes, crying and breathing until she died. And the coroner's report from the NT recommended that every unintended live birth after an abortion should be the subject to a coronial inquest, and that these babies should always receive medical care, because from first breath they have legal rights.
Yeah.
And none of that's been implemented. And this was a case that happened over 20 years ago. And I've talked about it on social media and it's gone viral. And people have said, "Oh, but things have changed. We wouldn't do that anymore." But it is clear as day that in the Queensland termination of pregnancy guidelines, it says, do not give life-saving treatment.
That's right.
The baby is born alive.